When we thought we were done with Billy Carson, he responded with a video about the situation where he is confronted and debated with Huff. And I don't need to go in details about the debate, but I need to make sure you can hear both sides of the story. But in this case, when you are debating a historian scholar about the Sinai Bible, Billy tries to make claims against something that happened in the same books he's claiming nothing happened. He's trying to disprove about the crucifixion of Jesus Christ, bringing claims and don't make any sense in trying to debunk the Bible with books called the Apocrypha. These books were written 200 years after the crucifixion and resurrection of Jesus Christ. Billy Carson has no game and no historical claims other than his Google search and ChatGPT diplomas. He is totally a fraud.
Person did some diabolical backstabbing stuff just yesterday.
Diabolical backstabbing. Billy, please explain to me how getting somebody on an interview with you, which we told you about, is diabolical and backstabbing. You knew exactly what you were walking into, but you were probably too lazy to do your own research because clearly you don't know how to do that.
I was extremely sick. I had just had a near-death experience in the hospital a few days prior, got released. I had been so sick for the 2 weeks leading up to the hospitalization, trying to get back to America, trying to stay alive. And then I'm bedridden, and I just feel like, man, I just got to get up and do something. I just can't lay down like this. I just can't do it. Like, for a person as active as me, it felt horrible. I felt like I was, completely useless. So I get a call from Mark. It's like, hey man, hop on a podcast, I'm like, okay, yeah. I'm like, that sounds like a good idea. Something I can do. And all I gotta do is go around the corner from my house. I don't have to even leave the neighborhood. I don't have to go on an airplane, which is what I usually have to do. I can just literally walk around the corner and go in his house. So that's what I did. I really didn't know it was going to be any kind of a debate. Okay. It's more like more of an ambush situation. And I have all the text messages to prove this, which are going to be in the discovery for.
Yeah, when we go back and check, the whole video was totally just about himself and making excuses of why he wasn't supposed to be in that debate with Wes Huff. At the end of the day, he never actually presented physical evidence of this text he's speaking about. At the end of the day, his wife actually came and tried to rescue the whole conversation, yet she made a lot of mistakes by saying that if you want to debate Billy, you need to pay $50,000.
Whole thing planned to attack him. So as he went over there, I'm going to show you guys a picture to show you I'm not lying. This is him over there. Look at his arm during the debate. Look at his arm. He just got out of the hospital. Look at his arm. He had just got out of the hospital. Now, when he went over to this place, he's thinking that there's going to be a friendly discussion. And mind you, if I would have known about this, it would not have happened because no debates happen with Billy. You want to debate Billy, you got to pay $50K. Everybody in the world wants to debate Billy. Everybody. No.
Billy claims that the debate he was on with Wes Huff was a total setup and it was done with malicious intentions. Yet, when we go back and watch the video, number one, there's no malicious intentions. And number two, it was a fair debate about claims Billy himself has made in different platforms, networks, and podcasts, and it's all over the social media.
Meaning of certain
I'll give
things.
you one big translation that's off is they say, well, Jesus was crucified.
Whoa.
Well, that doesn't exist in the Sinai Bible.
What happened?
It
to
doesn't
him?
exist in the book of Barnabas. He didn't.
That's a fire name, Barnabas.
I know, but they left that out of the Bible on purpose.
Now, if we use logic, we can see Billy Carson has been setting up and shooting himself in the foot, and he claims that there's nobody who wants to debate him about the claims he has done against the Bible until he met with Wes Huff.
According to the Sinai Bible, Jesus wasn't crucified in that Bible.
Do you mind if I ask a clarifying question?
Sure.
When you say the Sinai Bible, what are you referring to specifically? Refer to the Sinai Bible. Would you be referring to Codex Sinaiticus? Like the codex that comes? Okay, that's why I was trying to get some clarification, because I actually have a facsimile. So I have a photocopy of Codex Sinaiticus that I work with in my office. So I have it here. And the only reason I asked for clarification is because Sinaiticus in particular is just a 4th century Greek manuscript. Its text of the Gospels reads almost identical to the modern Greek text that we develop translations from. When you say that it denies the crucifixion or that the crucifixion isn't there, I mean, I can go on right now, Codex Sinaiticus, and I can look up Matthew 27. Where it has Jesus being crucified. And that's in Codex Sinaiticus or John 19 or any of the other ones. So my confusion is that it doesn't read any differently.
Where was that piece
I found
discovered?
the text where I was referencing, actually, I was misquoted. I misquoted there. It's the Gospel of Barnabas.
I have my own thoughts about this, and I think his own friends saw the fiasco and the scam that this man is. And just like the Bible calls people like Billy false prophets, we Christians, we need to bring the truth, and even atheist scholars had also agreed with the historical accounts written in the Bible.
They discovered the book of Jesus' wife, which is at the Harvard Seminary. A little controversial, but they claim that this is an accurate record that Jesus may have even been married, which then that's true. It adds more to the hypothesis that maybe he wasn't crucified.
So the Gospel of Jesus' wife is in the Harvard Library. However, the reason we know it's also not legitimate is because even though the manuscript, the papyrus that it's on, was carbon dated to the 4th century, the text was actually copied from a PDF version of the Gospel of Thomas known as Grandin's Interlinear. And there was a mistake in the Coptic text of Grandin's Interlinear that was copied into the Gospel of Jesus' wife. We can tie it directly to not copying from an ancient text, but actually copying from an online version of the Gospel of Thomas in a PDF form. I think we need to make sure that we're going toward not just early sources, but actually credible sources. And unfortunately, neither the Gospel of Barnabas nor the Gospel of Jesus' wife are credible sources and agreed upon by not just the vast majority of scholarship, but I don't know anybody in the field of papyrology, paleography, historiography who actually refers to these documents as being legitimate.
That's fair enough. I can respect that. So let's go into the Old Testament a little bit. But they claim that this is an accurate record.
But I don't know anybody.
That's fair enough.
I choose to believe the Bible because it's a reliable collection of historical documents written down by eyewitnesses during the lifetime of other eyewitnesses. They report to us supernatural events that took place in fulfillment of specific prophecies and claim that their writings are divine rather than human in origin. Now let's unpack this. First of all, the Bible is a reliable collection of historical documents. Look at what he says here in verse 16. For we did not follow cleverly devised tales when we made known to you the power and coming of our Lord Jesus Christ. We did not follow cleverly devised tales. We did not follow myths or fairy tales or legends. We did not follow things that were made up. Luke puts it this way in his prologue. Inasmuch as many have undertaken to compile an account of the things accomplished among us, just as they were passed down to us by those who were beforehand eyewitnesses and servants of the word, it seemed fitting to me, having investigated everything carefully from the beginning, to write it out for you in consecutive order, most excellent Theophilus, so that you might believe God on blind faith. No, so that you might know the exact truth about the things you have been taught. We have a reliable collection of historical documents. Not myths, not fairy tales, not legends. This is not the Gilgamesh epic here. These are things that actually transpired in history and were recorded for us. Not only do we have a reliable collection of historical documents, but they were written down by eyewitnesses during the lifetime of other eyewitnesses. In 1 Corinthians chapter 15, Paul says that Jesus was resurrected. After he was resurrected, he appeared to Peter. Then he appeared to the 12. Then he appeared to all of the disciples at once. Then he appeared to over 500 brethren at one time. And he says these words, most of whom remain until now. When you do the math, you realize that when 1 Corinthians was written, there were over 300 eyewitnesses at least of the resurrection of Jesus Christ who were still alive during that time. Oh, I hear you. You're well-educated people. You've heard the arguments. Yes, brother, I understand that, but you see what happened was there were individuals who came and doctored the Bible up, and it's been translated so many times, and it's been changed so many times. And when I talk to college students sometimes, they tell me about this myth of these overzealous monks who went out and changed the Bible so that things would match up, so that it would look like we have older documents than we actually have. And in fact, and I think they're really telling me something when they tell this, you know, we don't have any of the originals. Like I'm supposed to shake in my boots when they tell me that. Listen to me. If overzealous monks want to change the Bible, can I explain to you what they would have had to do? 3 levels of conspiracy. Level number 1, they would have had to have a manuscript conspiracy. When we're talking about just the New Testament itself, there are over 6,000 manuscripts or portions of manuscripts for the New Testament itself. Now that may not sound like a lot to you, but can I compare it to a couple of things? Julius Caesar's Gallic Wars. That's how we know about Julius Caesar and his conquest. We have around 10 manuscripts. Aristotle's Poetics. We have nearly 5 manuscripts. When it comes to the writings of Herodotus, we have less than 10 manuscripts. When it comes to the writings of Homer, less than 10 of each of his writings. When it comes to the New Testament, we have 6,000 manuscripts or portions of manuscripts for the New Testament. Folks, that's not even close. Well, you don't have the originals. No, we really don't. But guess what? We can get earlier than AD 120 with some of the copies that we have. When it comes to Julius Caesar's Gallic Wars, the earliest thing we can put our hands on was written 900 years after the original. But nobody's tearing down the walls in college because they're reading Caesar. When it comes to Aristotle, the earliest thing we can put our hands on was written 1,400 years after the original. But when it comes to the New Testament, we can put our hands on documents that were written within decades of the originals. So if these overzealous monks wanted to doctor the Bible, what they would have to do is find over 6,000 manuscripts, change all of them, not show their ink work, get them all back where they stole them from, and never tell anybody what they did. Here's level number 2. Jesus said, go and make disciples of ta ethne, every people group. Funny thing about people groups, they tend to speak different languages. So within the first few centuries, we have the Bible translated into Syriac, Coptic, and Latin. So now these overzealous monks have to find 6,000 Greek manuscripts, change those, doctor them up, don't show your ink work, get them back, go find all the Syriac, Coptic, and Latin translations of those Greek manuscripts, change those to match the lies that you told in another language, and get those back where you stole them from. And that's just level number 2. Now you got level number 3. The early church fathers had this terrible habit of writing commentary on the New Testament. So much so that Bruce Metzger argues, if all we had of the New Testament was the quotations and citations by the early church fathers, we could reproduce over 95% of the New Testament just from their writings. So now these overzealous monks have to find 6,000 manuscripts and portions of manuscripts, steal them, change them, don't show your ink work, get it back without anybody finding out. They got to find Syriac, Coptic, and Latin translations, change those to match the lies that they told in the 6,000 manuscripts, get those back where they stole them from, and then find all of the writings of all of the early church fathers, change those to match the lies that they told 2 layers ago, get those put back, never tell anybody what they did, and never ever get caught. Help you if you believe that.
At the end of all this, we need to pay attention what we listen and lend our ear to, because men like Billy Carson are going around making their claims about a book that has been attacked and misinterpreted for thousands and thousands of years. And guess what? The same results come up. The same book, people try to disprove, still going strong, teaching others about the love and character of God and the plan he has for all humanity, that is bringing every single one of us back to a personal relationship through the crucifixion and resurrection of Jesus Christ, the Son of God. Subscribe, hit the notification button, hit the like button. We'll see you next time.